This is your Army correspondent reporting today from the base camp of the 4th Infantry Division near Pleiku. We're talking with Specialist 5 David Barber, whose mother and father, Mr. and Mrs. Leroy Jones, reside at 11225 Road 24, Madera, California. Dave, could you tell us what unit you're assigned to and what is your job?
Presently I'm attached to B Company, 2nd Battalion, 8th Infantry, 4th Division, and I am the senior medical aidman here at B Company.
Dave, how long have you been in the Republic of Vietnam?
I've been here in Vietnam about 5.5 months now.
Upon your arrival here in Vietnam, what were your first impressions of the country and the people?
Well, we arrived during the monsoon seasons, a lot of rain, and seems like the people over here need somebody to help them and get them going straight on the right foot.
Have you taken part in any combat operations since you've been here?
Yes, I've taken part in a couple of road convoys, a couple of road clearings, Paul Revere 3 and Paul Revere 4.
Is there anything that stands out in your mind? Something perhaps that you'll never forget as long as you live that happened on one of these operations?
Well, one night, I know I'll never forget it. We were out in one of the areas up near the border, and we ran into a large amount of enemy troops, North Vietnam regulars, and the following night they hit us about 2:30 in the morning, and seems like when I woke up, I was sleeping. I wasn't sleeping in the place where I usually had. This time I figured we would get hit, and I was sleeping in our foxhole. Wasn't too very deep, maybe about a foot, because there was a lot of granite and we couldn't dig it real deep. So we had thrown a few logs around it to make it sort of substantial. And when I woke up, there was firing all over the place. It was just sounding like rain or something on a tin roof. It was all over, and there was explosions from hand grenades and artillery rounds and things like this. And I figured that there wasn't too much that I could do, being that I was a medic, until somebody got hit. So I just waited in the hole because I was the only one there. There was nobody with me at the time, and I was pretty scared, pretty well shook up, didn't know what was going on, no information. And all of a sudden, one of my other medics that was with me came running up and wanted me to come down and look at one of the men that he was working on. So him and we crawled back down to where this man was, and I looked at him, and the man was wounded pretty seriously, and we did as much as we could, bandaged him up and gave him morphine and such until some of the fighting had got down some, and we just went from man to man until we got most of them patched up. And I had to go back and make my report to the company commander as to how many were injured and killed. And soon after that, while I was talking to the company commander, there was a round that came in, and this is when I picked up a little piece of shrapnel in my arm. I received Purple Heart for that. Also that night, I understand that myself and my other medics that were with me were also eligible for the Combat Medics Badge. This is for taking care of people in combat under fire.
Well, Dave, what kind of training did you receive for this type of job that you're now performing here in Vietnam?
Some of the training that I've had was back when I first came in the Army at Fort Sam Houston, Texas. They gave us a basic course in medical corpsman job, and after that I had quite a bit of training in Europe with some units over there. Then I was rotated back to the States, and I've had training in different medical units. I've worked in several hospitals, and I've been a little luckier than some of them. I've had some civilian training through the American Red Cross and through a couple of ambulance companies that I worked for. So I have quite a bit of emergency first aid knowledge, and I've noticed and found out over here that this has come to quite a bit of usefulness.
Do you feel as if the training that the combat soldiers get in the States prepare them for this type of fighting here in Vietnam?
I feel that this training that we had back at in the States most definitely had quite a bit to do with the knowledge that the infantrymen over here know. Since I've been with them, I've seen them react quickly to situations and adapt themselves to the type of battle that we get into.
Dave, is there anything in particular that you miss from your hometown of Madeira?
Well, I just miss being in the States, period. I wish I was back there, and as soon as I can get back there, I tend to stay for a little while.
Is there a message that you'd like to pass on to your mother and father, Mr. and Mrs. Leroy Jones, at 11225 Road 24 in Madeira?
Well, I'd just like to say that I'm all right here, and at the present time, there's seems to be a pretty stable situation going on. I hope to be back in about 5 or 6 months, as far as they tell me, and I hope that everybody back there is doing all right also.
Well, thank you very much for taking time out to speak with us today. We've been speaking with Specialist 5 David Barber, a member of Headquarters Company, 2nd of the 8th Infantry, 4th Infantry Division near Pleiku.